Right, everyone. Friday morning briefing from the Celtic Way with loads to chat about. And three of us on today. We've got Tony and Kevin joining me for the final morning briefing of the week, guys. And as I say, I'm already repeating myself, but there is lots to chat about. There is plenty happening. Kevin, how's things?
Yep, very good. Another good week being a Celtic supporter.
Is that it? Okay, I thought you were about to go into a massive spiel on everything that's good about us, but it's fine. We all know everything's good, Kevin. It's a good time to be a Celtic fan, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we're in. When was the last time we qualified for the knockout stages? Was it
2012?
2012.
Yeah.
When we were, Juventus beat us home and away. I don't want to put too much. I don't want to put dampening on things. I'm channeling my Celtic damn mode here, but I find it a little bit puzzling. Like, so on the face of it, we look as if we're going to get Jota back. And we look as if we're going to get Kieran Tierney back, although as far as I know, there's some doubt as to whether we're getting Kieran in this window or we're going to have to wait to the end of the season. And the two of them were simply outstanding for Celtic in the time that they were here. And unlike other big players who come back or who come to Scotland, we're getting them when they should be at their prime. I'm kind of looking at the short term. We're going down. I know we've qualified and that's great, but we've got a brilliant opportunity to qualify outright for the last 16 by beating Aston Villa. And we're going there. It looks as if we're going there without our main striker, and there isn't a replacement. And yeah, you know what I've said in recent weeks. I like Adamida. He still needs a bit more time. He's earned his keep, not least with his role in the goal the other night. But you know, what are we saying here? You know, it's not as if we're getting a life-changing amount of money for Kyogo. You know, this is what a classic opportunity we've got in a week against a top English club, and we've got a great record. We've got a really good record against English clubs in Europe, which I want to hang on to. We've won 7 times against English clubs. They've beaten us 6 times, and we've drawn 6 times. That's some record against clubs from arguably the best and most powerful league in world football. And I want to hang on to that. So tell me I'm wrong, chaps. Tell me that there's another way of looking at this.
I mean, I must say, I think, you know, it's still a big game for us on Wednesday. I'm probably not as fussed about Wednesday night, and obviously the Maida stuff, we're going to be without him. We are going to be without Kyogo because he's been photographed in France and their manager said he's signing. So, I mean, we're going to be without both of them for the game. It's not ideal. I think for me personally, it's just my opinion, if we were going for qualification, I think I'd be more bothered about it. We're kind of in a difficult situation, I guess, in that we can't sign a replacement and register a replacement for the game. Obviously, the obvious kind of solution would be hold on to Kyogo till after Villa. I'm guessing that we probably held on to the Kyogo news at least for as long as we could, and it was no coincidence to me that came out an hour after full time. Imagine that had come out in the lead up to the Young Boys game; all hell would have broken loose. So I reckon it was a case of like we basically can only hold this until qualification has been guaranteed. Whether if we hadn't have won on Wednesday, would it have been held on for another week? We'll never know. My own view is that, yeah, it's not ideal next week and it might be difficult. I think even personally, as much as I want us to get a result, I think if we lose that, I'll still take the positives of the 8 games overall. But I totally get that people are looking at it as a big game, and we are going to go into it without Kyogo and Dyson.
I think the timing just puzzles everybody, doesn't it? But you have to look at the machinations behind the scenes. You're reading that this is a player who's wanted to move since the summer, and I think Celtic got what they could out of him this season and made sure that they got qualification. Again, I side with you on that one. Had it came out before, all hell would have broken loose. Celtic have set out and did what they wanted to do at the start of the season. One of their goals was to reach the knockout phase, playoff round, call it what you like. They have done that. The manager's no daft. He knows he needs a striker. They will get a striker and probably be registered in time to play in the playoff round, because you can register 3 players for the playoff round. So, granted, it's no ideal going to Villa, but let's look in the positives of this. We're not going to Villa needing a result. If we get a result, we are happy and we keep that record going that Kevin's talking about. But we're not going to Villa needing to win that match or needing a point to qualify for the playoff round. So I think it's more palatable in terms of Kyogo leaving, and we say thanks for the memories. He is one of those iconic players who everybody will remember. And I go back to when I was talking about people who say he's the best since Larsson. I'll leave that up to every individual Celtic supporter to say who they think in their own mind up on that. But talking about in terms of goal scorers always bring sheer unbridled joy to Celtic supporters, and that wee guy did that for the best part of 4 years, didn't he? From the moment he came in, from the moment he scored against Jablonec and then get the hat-trick against Dundee, he was off and running, he was away, and his smile was infectious the way he played. You just fell in love with him. And, he's been wonderful for Celtic. But I still think that the money they're getting for somebody whose star is potentially on the wane and whose powers are maybe not what they once were, because he'd been missing a lot of chances of late. The old Kyogo would have buried them in his sleep. So I think Celtic have got a good deal. I'm with Kevin on the fact that it's the timing of it all, but I'm actually very glad that, as you said, Hamish, this didn't split everything asunder before we played that game and qualified.
And that's deliberate, isn't it? I mean, for all we know, for all the argument, or the agreement with Kyogo, quite possibly was you can leave. And Roger said at the start of the month, he made the point, and people are reading into it now, but he made the point, if players want to leave, he won't stand in their way. So for all we know, the agreement might have been, you can leave, but only after we qualify for the
I'm reading between the lines, and I think that's exactly what's happened here.
Yeah. So it's frustrating losing Kyogo at all. I guess financially as well, Kevin. I mean, we're making 10 million for him. We paid 4 million, so we've had 3.5 years of Kyogo and still made more than doubled our money. But I guess given that he's still doing it and he still looked lively in Wednesday, you always just want that. You always want your best players you love to stay, don't you?
Yeah, it's whatever way you look at it, it's a great deal. And other clubs can only tear out their hair in envy at how this is unfolded for us. We've had a cracking striker, given his best at the most productive time, the peak of his powers. He scored almost 100 goals in 4 seasons, including, 9 against Rangers, several big ones in Europe. And he's reached the age of 30 and we're still getting an £8 million profit from him. Maybe more than that. Likewise, I mean, Jota is his smash and grab. We get a couple of great years from him. We sell him for 25 million and we get him back when he's in his prime. For what?
8
8 million.
Yeah.
So we're going to make somewhere in the region of 15 to 18 million on him in 2 years. My kind of my misgiving about that is that I don't think we should be expecting Jota to start setting the heather alight immediately. You've got to remember this guy, Jota has not really played much first class football since he left us. He just hasn't. He's hardly, he's played in a make believe league in Asia, and he didn't really get much game time at Rennes. So to expect him to just come back and pick up from where he left off is a bit delusional. But as long as he's looked after himself and he's trained hard, he knows the club, he knows the terrain. But yeah, look, I'm just being curmudgeonly, haven't I? Over the piece.
I believe so, aye.
A cracking bit of business. And we do have that cushion of being so many points ahead of Rangers too.
Yeah.
There's been a kind of qualified risk, if you like, in Kyogo going, and it remains to be seen if another like for like, top quality striker is on Brendan Rodgers' radar. I mean, one other thing is that, I was so delighted to see Adam Ida's role in that goal the other night. And I know he won't be credited with the goal, but the run was great. He didn't do much wrong, in the way he executed it. Just simply to be involved in such a crucial goal, hopefully will do his confidence no harm at all. And now he's got a great opportunity.
He does, yeah.
It was a great opportunity to stake a bid at just the right time in his career to be our number one striker.
Okay, something that was missing about Adam Ida's contribution the other night was, now it's a brilliant run, it's a brilliant pass, but his strength to hold off the defender. If Kyogo's going through there, he gets dispossessed or he gets knocked off the ball. But Ida had the strength to hold off the defender and get the shot away. And it's inadvertently gone in or via the keeper and the defender. But just that bulk, force and strength and brute strength, and also the timing of the run. If Kyogo makes that, I think he gets knocked off the ball. And I don't think Celtic would get a penalty. I just think he would have got out muscled. So that's another thing to take into consideration when you're talking about Adam Ida. He does have attributes. People say, no, he missed the shot, but he's created the moment. And that's
got all the attributes.
Surge of confidence from that. And he has got an opportunity now to be the main striker for X amount of games. But again, I still think that this is Brendan Rodgers and Celtic acting like a big club, because they've made the decision on Kyogo and he is now gone. They're bringing Jota back and there will be somebody coming in to be a centre forward. So, I'm, as much as you're sad to see Kyogo go, I think Brendan Rodgers is very aware he needs now to take it to the next level and make Celtic regular participants at this stage in Europe. And that's the thinking and the machination behind this. And I genuinely think it's Celtic now saying, okay, we've manoeuvred ourselves into this position, got a bit of respect back on this, in this arena. Let's now capitalise on that and go again. I could be wrong in that, but I think that's the way we're thinking. And I think everybody is lots of people are talking about the fact that since Brendan Rodgers came in, Kyogo hasn't maybe fitted into his system per se. Maybe get a striker that he thinks can really fit the bill in terms of a Brendan Rodgers team.
So, I think that's a fair comment that Kyogo hasn't been as effective under Brendan Rodgers. I still think he's been really good for us. You only have to look at the other night, but that just says so much about Kyogo as a player, and we obviously all rate him so highly. But I think that is a fair comment that he hasn't been as effective under Brendan Rodgers as he was under Ange Postecoglou, and that's part of my thinking. Is, as I say, he turned 30 last week. I think this might be the right time. As painful as it maybe is for a lot of us fans, and again, maybe it's more palatable in the summer as opposed to now. But then again, you don't know if that offer is going to be there in the summer, because I know Rennes are spending a bit of money. I think they're in a bit of a relegation battle actually, which is kind of strange that Kyogo's going there. But regardless, I'm kind of at peace with it. I'm going to miss him a hell of a lot. I love him, but we've lost. I saw a tweet earlier actually, and it was all the players and managers who have left the club over the past 2 or 3 years, and the list is remarkable. I mean, like guys like Tom Rogic, Ange Postecoglou and Matt O'Reilly, and
Starfelt.
Yeah, guys like that Joe Hart, guys that you absolutely loved, and they move on and we got on with it. I think I agree with you, Tony. We will sign a forward. I know there's been a bit of talk last night, and it might be a loan signing, and we might look to do like a kind of stopgap until the end of the season, and then potentially look to solve the problem for good. Maybe someone like Matthias Kvistgaarden, because I'm guessing, and I know this is ironic because we've literally are in the process of selling our best striker during January, but I would guess most teams wouldn't want to lose their number one striker midway through the season. So I'm guessing that makes it difficult to sign a replacement. So maybe a loan signing would work. I've seen Evan Ferguson's name mentioned, and I know Brighton were speaking yesterday about him potentially going out on loan. Ross Stewart, the Southampton forward, has been mentioned. He's not a massively exciting name, if I'm honest. I think someone like Evan Ferguson, if he was to come in and loan for 6 months and then you sign someone for good, like Kvistgaarden in the summer, I'd kind of be all right with that, I would say.
Where's Big Zlatan, by the way?
God knows.
Because
I'll kick him about Milan, isn't he? I believe.
Why don't we just go down the whole old hog and sign Musa or sign Odson and just get the old band back together?
Well, it's just that Big Zlatan has always expressed a desire to play with Celtic at one point in his career. And he can't be much older than Schmeichel or Joe Hart. Where is he? Is he not in America?
He's
got tired.
He's got the arrogance to, just sort of say, "All right, I'll come for whenever, and I'll score 30 goals in like 30 games."
Retired in 2023 from AC Milan with his final club.
I thought Milan was his last club.
I actually missed him retiring. I think, I don't know if I actually
Bring him
remember
back.
that.
Bring him back.
Any serious suggestions for a forward?
That was serious.
I know you were serious. I didn't think a minute that you were kidding.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that again, you have to trust that what's coming out the club is not that the club ever lets the fans know or keeps them informed, all that well, but you have to kind of assume that they've known about this for a while, so therefore you must also assume there must be a handful of players which we can reach for between now and the end of January.
Well, the manager said himself when he was asked if somebody came in to take somebody like Kyogo, he said there was plans in place. He said there was contingency plans, so
they'll have known about this for a
while. This is not something that's just came up and blindsided them.
But Big Kenny, does he start coming into?
He might start coming into the squads.
He did well the other week when he came on.
I'd potentially start him tomorrow, knowing that Ida's going to start against Villa. So I'd potentially do that. In terms of he's going to be third choice. You've also got Daizen Maida's there as well, and he's played there for Japan. But I think we need to sign someone as well. I mean, we can't go with Ida, Kenny, and Maida as our forwards. We'd need another sign in there for me.
Yeah, without a doubt. Of course, we need that. I'm going to trust the process here. as much as it is painful to see Kyogo leave, I just think Celtic wouldn't do this unless, and the manager, because the manager is all over this. You know, this manager has total control of the football aspect of this football club, and I've no qualms about that. And he seems very calm and very delighted and proud of what they've achieved so far. So, you know, it's a big test for Celtic coming up in the next few days to get somebody in of repute who will bang in goals. You know, but I'm fully trusting the manager here to say that he has got contingency plans in process, and this is something he's been well aware of, because it's been going around for a while. Kyogo, first it was going to the MLS, wasn't it? So it's nothing new. So, and also you have to factor in that if he dreams to play at the World Cup for Japan, and also to play in one of the so-called Big Five leagues in Europe, and that's what he's been told by his international manager, who just doesn't rate Scottish football at all. He's clearly said to him, you need to get the hell out of Dodge and play somewhere where I think, you know, and I know he picks Rio Hatate and Daisen Maeda, but Rio Hatate's been picked for numerous squads and not seen much football, has he? And Daisen has been there for a while, so he's got previous with Daisen, so he knows what Daisen can bring to the party. So, you know, all those kind of pressures come to bear in Kyogo as well. So, you know, we wish him well. He's been absolutely sensational and brilliant. And the goals will be like Rolodex in your mind, won't they? You'll remember them. You know, as I've always said, it's like a Polaroid camera in your head. You press a button and out comes a photo of the goal or the image of the goal. So, and we thank him for that. I think 85 goals he got, wasn't it? I think it was 8 goals against Rangers. Memory serves, Kevin.
Were they all in one calendar year?
They were all in a calendar year, yeah. And, you know, and I think maybe there's a personal disappointment for Kyogo and disappointment with the fans that he didn't stay around long enough to net 100 goals for Celtic. I think if you net 100 goals for Celtic, you become one of that elite band. He will be remembered as a fantastic striker, but if he'd have finished with 100 goals for Celtic and then left, I think everybody would be like, you know, magic. But, you know, I'm like you. I've made my peace with it. I'm not angry. I'm just a bit sad, because all good things come to an end, and he was a good thing.
Yeah. A bit of chat about Jota, because I want to just move it on to him. Kind of what Kevin hinted at earlier. A few people saying different things. Robert saying, will he be the same player? He's not played for a season and a half. Ian, hope I'm wrong, but expecting an inferior version of Jota, considering he's hardly kicked the ball for so long. My own personal opinion, and I agree with Kevin, we need to be patient. We need to be, you know, wary that Jota hasn't played much over the last year and a half. I do think that certain players fit certain clubs, though, and the best example I can think of this, and I'm aware it's probably a bad example because he was a goalkeeper, but Fraser Forster kind of struggled virtually everywhere. He's had a good career, so that's maybe harsh, but he struggled at a fair bit at a lot of clubs. Whenever he was at Celtic, he excelled, and when he came back for that season, I think he was struggling prior to that, came back and did well. I guess Joe Hart's another fit, and there'll have been outfield examples. I just get the impression, personally, that Jota coming home and coming to the closest thing that he's ever felt to home in terms of football, because I generally feel Celtic, alongside Benfica, who he obviously supported as a youngster, Celtic will be his club. I think him coming home, I personally think he will get back to that level of player we saw. But I do agree it might take time. But the thing is, we've kind of got time. Like when we were talking about a left winger coming in, the thing a lot of us felt was, fine, if they make an instant impact, great. But also, if you bring them in January, knowing Daisen Maeda's there, they can do a Nicholas Kuhn and maybe take 4 or 5 months to get up to speed, and then next season fly. So the pressure's not really on Jota to come in and hit the ground running. You can just bring him in. You've got Daisen there, and you just say to Jota, you get yourself up to speed for the next 4 or 5 months, and then next season you become that player. I think it's going to be a great signing. I'm honest, I can't remember being as excited about a signing ever at Celtic. Jota coming back. Loved the guy. He was an unbelievable player for us. I absolutely loved everything about him. His big game moments, the kind of regularity that he scored, and the prospect of having him and Kuhn as our 2 wingers. And that's before we even mention Maeda, It's like a kind of all-stars Celtic team we're building here.
You just stop short of saying the brazen header, Hamish. You know what I mean?
What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, yeah, it's exciting. I was also really pleased to see the displays of Arne Engels and Rio Hatate on Wednesday night. I thought the two of them had outstanding games.
Yeah,
and I know that Engels missed that penalty. Although I've seen it back since, and there should have been a retake on 2 counts because the keeper was off his line and one of their defenders encroached into the box. But nevertheless, it was a crap penalty. But I thought he played really well, and that follows a pattern in recent games. He's reaching the standard that made us pay that amount of money for him. And that pass from Hatate for the goal, there's nobody else in Scotland could have played that pass. It actually took me back to a pass of Jota against either Ferencváros or AZ.
Ferencváros.
Where he smacked it for Kyogo, but it wasn't. It was like a half smack, because while in the art of smacking this ball, he'd also kind of applied a little bit of spin so that it wasn't scudding. It was just at the perfect speed for Kyogo to run on without breaking stride. It was a, what is it you say, Tony? Hang it in the Louvre.
You should have hung it in the Louvre.
That pass by Hatate, it was also reminiscent of a crossfield pass of his against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
At Parkhead. And again, nobody else in Scotland, very few in the UK, have that ability. And I think being able to execute that under pressure, 5 minutes to go, which results in a goal, will give him back some confidence.
I don't know what it is, but concerning Jota, I'm as excited as you, Hamish, about him coming back. I think he's a wonderfully gifted footballer, and you don't lose that.
No.
Match fitness is the only thing you query with Jota, but and also he hadn't played a lot of football when he initially came to Celtic either. So I just think the fact that you say that, come back to where you're loved. He's utterly adored at Celtic, and he's not found a football love like it since he left. I understand why he left, because it was mind-boggling sums of money, which when that's put in front of you, you have to set yourself up and your family up for life. But I think he realised quickly. I mean, you saw what he did when he left, the big Instagram video that he put up, and because he really got under his skin. And then when he left, he realised, personal happiness is not all about money. Personal happiness as a football player is about playing. It's about playing at a good level. And Kevin mentioned it. He went to a league who promised the world and then didn't deliver in any shape or form, except via bank balance. Playing in front of crowds of 4,000 and all that. You just turn off any footballer. Then you go to France and it's just not happened for him. But he's not forgot how to be a footballer. It will take a bit of time, but I don't think it'll take a lot of time. I just think the guy will come back and he'll just be embraced by everybody, the Celtic fans in particular, and just, he said when he signed for a football team, he liked to immerse himself in the culture. It'll be like, it will feel like coming home for him. He said himself, he fell in love. It's a guy who's supposed to be Benfica all his life, came to Glasgow and just fell in love with everything. It will just reignite him again, and he will fall in love again with Celtic, and the fans will fall in love with him all over again. And who's to say they won't sell it for another?
I was thinking that. Earlier.
He can go back. He can go to England if that's what he really wants as well. But give us another good couple of years playing at your peak. I'm all for that. Bring it on. And again, I get back to, I still think it's one of the building blocks of Celtic acting like a big club again. And, on the back of the successful Champions League campaign where they are unbeaten in 8 Champions League games, don't forget. 8 Champions League games. Incredible. After a 7-1 scudding.
Yeah, 1 defeat in 8.
And people are saying, they got an easy draw, and as if you're ever going to get an easy draw in the Champions League. Celtic went to Dortmund and Bergamo back to back, which could have obliterated their campaign right at the start. So anyone telling me there's an easy draw can do one. And also, you can't decry this achievement because Celtic play in the Scottish Premiership. They're not playing the standard of opposition every other week that some of these teams are playing against. And so to get to the playoff round is a tremendous achievement, but that's not the height and extent of your ambition. Now you want to go further. And I think that's what Celtic are thinking, because they can register 3 players before the playoff round. So get them in.
Jota, Tierney, striker.
Every chance to succeed in the playoff round and get to the last 16. And I think that's the thinking here, because Brendan Rodgers made a point of saying when he came, he said himself last week as well, I didn't promise, but one thing I wanted to do was make my mark in Europe. I felt Celtic were a team capable of doing something in Europe.
What are you hearing about Tierney? Because he's made appearances from the bench recently, and he's clearly still held in high regard by Arsenal fans. Just the reaction when he comes on, and also on social media. And given that, Arsenal probably won't win the league, but if they've got pretensions to win the European Cup or go right to the semis, they're going to need a big squad. So I'd be, unless you know different, less it's been a done deal. But if I'm Arsenal, I'm thinking, what are we? Are we wanting to kind of weaken our squad?
I think there's definitely scope for a loan deal there. Certainly from what I've heard that it's a possibility, which I agree is interesting, because Tierney started playing again for Arsenal, mainly sub appearances. But I think there's definitely scope there. So I'm kind of thinking that at the moment that's what will be getting negotiated. I don't think Tierney coming back is in question. I think it's kind of everyone knows that's going to happen in the summer, worst case scenario. But I hope we can get him in now. Imagine a double announcement of Jota and Tierney coming back. It would just be, you're talking about two of our most expensive sales, 2 of the 3 most expensive sales of all time coming back potentially in the same week. Like, these are mad times. I'd love to see them both back.
See, if you act like a big club, that's what you do.
Yes, agreed. It's often, it does, all joking aside, it softens the blow of Kyogo leaving.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And if I'm in that part of that Celtic setup, that's what I'd be saying.
Yeah.
Listen, you want to soften the blow or ease the pain of this guy leaving. Announce these 2, and a striker, and say that's where we're heading, getting into the playoff round. And I don't know, something in the back of my head think that could be the thinking here.
Yeah, exciting, very exciting. Listen, always Ellis shouting at me. Any news on Ferguson? No actual links between Celtic and Evan Ferguson, but the chat is he's going to leave Brighton and loan. I think he's got about 1 million clubs after him down south, so it seems unlikely. But Irish link. I think he had soft spot for Celtic, and we obviously have a few Irish players on our book, so potentially. And Gordon saying sad we never got to say a proper goodbye to Kyogo, which I think is a fair point. But listen, that is football, and luckily we have social media these days, so Kyogo can post some sort of nice message. Yeah, we've got a game tomorrow, guys, and we've not even been able to discuss it today. But you'll have plenty of time to do that before the match. I think we'll be okay tomorrow against Dundee. Just a chance to get another 3 points and take another step towards the title. But for today, guys, thanks very much for your time and opinions, etc. You can get more from us on the website. You can subscribe, celticway.co.uk/subscribe. If you fancy subscribing to the YouTube channel as well, that would be much appreciated. Completely free. Means you can get notified whenever we go live. Okay, the guys will be back throughout the course of the weekend. Chat to you then.